Hey guys, welcome to a new video. Last night we got a new EA earnings call where the CEO Andrew Wilson and a few other important people of the company reported on the last quarter of earnings to the investors and everyone else who's interested. And as usual, they also talked a little bit about the next Battlefield that is supposed to be released late next year, at least according to the leaker Tom Henderson. So let's have a look at what they had to say. Link to the transcript is also in the description below, just in case you also want to read through it yourself. So they start with, as Season 7 of Battlefield 2042 wraps up, one thing is clear. Each season of the game has shown our team's unique ability to listen, learn, and draw inspiration from the community to deepen connection with the franchise. Well, yes. They learned and they listened, but they mainly did this during the first 3, maybe 4 seasons. And then after season 4, at least I had the feeling that everything went downhill again. Not necessarily content-wise, because we already knew that there would be less content coming in seasons 5 to 7, but there were some decisions and also changes made and updates that seemed like they had lost connection to the community again. And that Battlefield 2042 has deepened the community's connection with the franchise, I can't imagine that this is true. If you've been part of this community for the last 3 years and you've been active across different social media platforms, you know that this game has split the community and disconnected them from the franchise like no other Battlefield game did before. Yes, DICE and especially the community managers did a lot to try and rebuild the trust and to limit the damage actually, but it's not fully restored yet, and this will really take a lot of time to do, and it might not even be fully done with the next game, even if they deliver something good. If they can't deliver, I think the Battlefield franchise is done for, but I'm sure that DICE is aware of this as well, or at least that's what I'm hoping. So they go ahead to say, players continue to be passionate about the Battlefield franchise, which has surpassed over 25 million players over the last 12 months. This number might sound strange at first glance, but he is talking about the Battlefield franchise as a whole and not just 2042. And in sum, I can imagine that this number is realistic. But we have to take into consideration that 2042 had 2 or 3 free-to-play weekends that massively boosted the player numbers. Just thinking about that one weekend that we had at the beginning of Season 6, where we hit over 100,000 concurrent players only on Steam. And the franchise in general was also on sale a lot during the last 12 months, with prices of under or around $5 for each game. Plus, adding anti-cheat to the PC version of Battlefield 5 has increased the player count of this game as well, and it's again the most played Battlefield title. Then comes Battlefield 1 and then 2042. So the Battlefield franchise in general is still relevant and is still successful, just not with the most recent title. Back to the earnings call. The community is energized by what our teams are doing and excited for what comes next. Sorry. This is not just one of our top priorities, it is also one of the most ambitious projects in our history. I know this is a lot of marketing talk here, but the community is not energized and they're not excited. They are afraid and they look critically at what comes next. And the thing I'm hearing the most in the comments is, do not pre-order the next Battlefield game. Or people saying, I will not buy the next game until checking each and every review to see if it's really good or not. That's how much damage to the trust of the community Battlefield 2042 has done, and it is not rebuilt yet. I don't doubt that the next Battlefield title is the most ambitious project they have, but this is also something that is just normal marketing speak to convince the investors. Anyways, they go ahead to say, we have brought together the very best team coupled with the resources and technology they need to deliver an epic Battlefield experience. I'm pretty sure they said the exact same things before the release of 2042, and we all know how this turned out. Then he goes ahead to say, I'm excited about what is to come next as we continue to make progress across our strategic priorities. So a lot of marketing speak right there, as expected, that is directed at the investors, but I honestly doubt that even these are still buying it. I mean, especially when you are about to invest a bigger amount of money into a company, you do your research. And at least for Battlefield, this doesn't look good for the last few years. Then again, Battlefield is not the only IP of EA and definitely not the cash cow. This is the whole EA Sports segment and was again in this quarter. But since the stock market is very, very sensitive, of course Battlefield has an effect on it as well, and that is something investors usually don't really like to see. For example, after the release of 2042, EA stock went free falling for 3 weeks before slowly going up again. However, later during the earnings call, EA also talks about their ability to utilize free-to-play as a mechanism to reach more people on console, PC and mobile, and then offer different monetization opportunities. So it seems like they will focus even more on the free-to-play model in the future to get more players into their games, which then are even more potential customers for in-game transactions and customizations and whatnot. I doubt this free-to-play model will happen to the next Battlefield though. I think they will stick to a paid game and then will go into a live service model. But when looking at the numbers, EA earns 6 times more money from their live service models compared to the amount they earn from selling full games. So a focus on bringing as many players as possible into a game through these free-to-play models just makes sense. As for Battlefield, we know from former earnings calls that EA is aiming for a tremendous live service with the next title as well. Whatever that means, I hope it's content and not just microtransactions, because what's already noticeable in 2042 is that back when the game was released and had a myriad of bugs and issues, the store was already working fine. And now that we don't have any seasons anymore and no new content, there is still new cosmetic bundles in the store every week. However, we also know that this is the largest Battlefield team in the franchise's history working on the next title right now. So there is DICE, Criterion, Ripple Effect and Motive Studio working on different parts of the game. Andrew Wilson also stated that he has played the next Battlefield already, so apparently it is at a state where it's playable. What kind of state this may be, I don't know. I don't know enough about game development to judge this. And that he is very excited about what he saw. But then again, it wouldn't be very beneficial for the company if he would be criticizing the game or the franchise during an earnings call. And I don't think it would be very professional as well. So yeah, that's what we learned about the next Battlefield game last night, or at least how EA already tries to sell it to the investors. We heard similar things in earnings calls before the release of 2042, stuff like the team is focused and the game is ahead of our internal milestones, and we all know how this turned out. So we can just wait and see what happens this time, and I will keep you updated on this as usual. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to drop a like. Tell me what you think about all of this in the comments below, and if you're new here, subscribe for more content like this. Until then, thanks for watching, and thanks to my members for the additional support. I'm the Catwoman, and you are awesome.